Make Noise presents Who Are You? Where we interview you and get to know you on a deeper level with your hosts, Joel and
Sam.
We're going to be talking about the best version of myself. I believe I talked about that. But we also talk about other stuff as well. While we are on that topic of the best version of ourselves, I'm reminded of a quote by I wouldn't say the great, but one of the greats.
I don't follow sports.
Neither do I. Stephen Curry.
Stephen or Esteban? Or Steven? Or Steph?
Yeah, I think it's just Stephen.
Mr. Curry.
PH. So I don't think that applies to Esteban.
His pH balance is way off.
Yeah. Anyways, the quote goes, "Be the best version of yourself in anything you do. You don't have to live anybody else's story."
Pew!
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm stressed.
Yeah. Especially because I forgot how this goes. Been a week off and
yeah, I know.
no practice.
Just fun fact, hobby, interest, or passion.
And I've been told I've been using a lot of filler words, so now I am very mindful about what I am saying.
We've both been using a lot of filler words. Like I don't want you to take that personally, because basically we're both doing the same thing.
Yes. As you showed right now. First things first, I guess, is or do you have anything to share? I believe that's it, right? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, fun fact. Hobby.
Yeah, fun fact, hobby,
interest,
passion.
Yeah, I almost canceled today again too, because I'm like, there's too much shit going on.
And we'll get to that on the next segment.
Yeah, we will. I don't know if I brought this up or not yet, but I have that. I believe it's an Asian trait. I think there's also other ethnicities that also share this trait, but I love finding a good deal.
Probably some other races would share.
But yeah, that's a hobby of mine. Like, for example, I'll go to a website called Slick Deals and just look at things that are on sale with no intent to buy anything. I just like finding good deals. I see something and I go, hey, this is a good deal. But I don't do anything with it most of the time.
Got it.
I was recently looking for TVs. That's where I went for that. There's like 50 different deals on TVs. It just kind of compiles everything into one site. Kind of like how Expedia does, or Trivago, or like those hotel and travel sites.
Travel sites.
They just mesh everything into one. That's what Slick Deals is, but it's user-based. So it's users uploading deals that they find.
Okay. So it's not doing it automatically.
Correct. It runs more like a forum than anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Fun fact.
Or
hobby, interest. I guess all of the above.
Yeah. Fun fact about me. I enjoy collecting things. So a couple things I'll collect, and then I end up getting addicted to the collection. And then
the collecting part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then storage becomes a problem. Mm-hmm. And then I have to quit cold turkey. So I have a fairly large collection of comic books. I have a fairly large collection of Pokemon cards.
But those two in particular, I feel like, don't necessarily take up that much space.
They do.
Well, I guess depending on how you're storing them.
Yeah. So I have a good amount of long boxes for the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And they take up a good amount of space, where I'm glad my parents let me use their closet space. That was for a good portion of the time. And then recently I had bought what's it called? Basically a shelving unit, but for like the garage.
Mhm.
And we put it in the shed that we have, and I moved most of the stuff there. So all the long box, well, almost all the long boxes, because I still have a shelf, like a in-home shelf, like for the room. That's still in their closet, and that's filled with a bunch of comics as well. That still needs to get moved over to the shed. Then I also have a good amount of statues.
Those I do know take up a lot of space.
I have statues and figures as well.
Mhm.
And those are also in, I believe, the garage. There's probably 2 cases full.
What do you mean by case?
What I mean by case would be the like bins, basically.
Like a storage bin?
A storage bin.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's 2 of those. And then another storage bin of just old stuff. And probably some more Pokemon cards, unopened boxes. I also have a bunch of art as well. So from like Artist Alley and stuff like that when I go to conventions.
I believe you have mentioned this before on episodes that are being released.
No, what I've mentioned before is I have a sketchbook of artists that sketch in there. This is more prints. So
Okay.
stuff that I would buy from artists and that are selling prints
Gotcha.
of their art. I have a few books that are filled with that. So the books that I have are roughly, I think it's 16 by 18.
Okay.
So it's fairly large
Yeah.
prints that I'll collect.
They make books that'll store those?
Yeah.
The fuck?
You find them in the convention itself as well.
I've never heard of that before. I've been buying frames for every single print that I have.
Really?
Yeah, just to keep them like pristine.
No, yeah, they sell books where you can just slide them in there and
Like a 17 by 19
yeah.
book?
They go up to like, I believe it's in the 30s, like they have for the larger prints.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, all of the prints that I have, I bought like cheap frames from Walmart. So it's plastic with a plastic frame. Instead of like, instead of having glass, like they're not nice. Like the ones I have in the hallway, those are all plastic.
Yeah, and I would assume you're talking about like the ones that they have in like Walmart or Target. Because I don't know if you remember, I don't know if they have them anymore, but when they used to sell prints and you just flip through them.
Yeah. That's kind of like what I have, except for there's a piece of cardboard behind it.
Okay.
And I can hang them up.
Mm.
Well, they're poster frames.
Right.
Yeah. Just changed my life, I think. I think I'm going to look into that. Because if I could make those into a book, I feel like I would enjoy those more. Because I've been having trouble figuring out where I'm going to put all this stuff. I don't want to get rid of it. Some of them are rare. Some of them are signed.
Yeah, and that's like the stuff that I'll have as well as like a bunch of. So the stuff that I'll have are like signed, CGC graded in their own like case.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bunch of that as well, where there's a bunch of graded comics, graded Pokemon cards. I think those are the only things I've had graded. Just comics and Pokemon cards. The statues are just there in their boxes. Some of them I have out, but a lot of them are still in their box. I have 2 big statues about waist size or a little bit taller that are just in their box, and I don't want to set them up at all until like I have a place,
like a permanent place.
Yeah, a permanent place, and then I'll display those. It's all out of the way, out of the room, because if I have all that stuff in the room, I can't move.
Right.
So yeah, I have large collections.
Yeah, I can relate
I've had
to
a
that.
quick cold turkey.
Yeah, I can relate to that to an extent. I have a closet full of stuff like that, so I can definitely relate a little bit. The one thing that I learned from having stuff displayed in my previous home, though, was that cleaning up after them is a fucking nightmare unless they're encased in something.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I want to find cases to display them,
like glass cases, something that
where
you don't
no
have to dust all the time. Yeah,
no dust or very minimal dust can get in there.
Yeah, I was dusting collectibles on bookshelves like once a week before. It was a nightmare. And then the weeks that I didn't want to do it, it was just even worse later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so tedious because you got to pick them up. You got to dust all the little nooks and crannies on the thing itself, and then the shelf that it's on, and then everything behind it is. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'm having flashbacks of the war. I've never been in a war. Disclaimer.
Same disclaimer.
I mean, you were deployed at least.
Yeah, but not in a war.
They never deployed me, but I never enrolled or enlisted, so that's probably why they never deployed me.
They deployed me to a ceasefire.
You don't have to tell people that, Joel. You just tell people that you were deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan.
What? No.
Where?
Those are wars.
No, where were you deployed?
The ceasefire was Korea.
Oh. I don't know why I always thought you were in one of those places.
No.
I know we talked about you going to like some mansion or palace or something.
Oh, no. I was talking about how my unit was deployed to a mansion. Palace, I think.
But you left right before that, or
no, because I was a year from getting out, I could not deploy with them.
Gotcha.
So I stayed back and basically prepared for.
They're like, take a year off. Prepare to not be here anymore.
Prepare for civilian life, essentially.
Gotcha.
Like let's shake you back into civilization.
I'm pretty sure I've lied to many people about your deployment.
And that was during the time when they were essentially pulling out.
So was your company deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan or somewhere around there?
Our company was deployed to Iraq to pick up everything that was in Iraq to pull out.
Okay.
Iraqi freedom, I think, was the mission.
Okay, so I'm not completely crazy. I did.
No.
I do remember that part of the story. I forgot the part that you didn't.
I did not go.
I think somewhere in my head, I was just like, well, you were doing communication, so you just weren't you weren't in the shit, but you were there. And I'm pretty sure that's how I've.
And the company my company that deployed, they didn't do much other than, like I said, pick up stuff and head back. Okay. They were the cleanup crew, which I don't even think they lasted a whole year.
They all died within a year?
Yeah. No, they finished under a year. They were supposed to last more than a year.
They went to go clean up and they all died. They just couldn't handle it.
The camel spiders, man.
Ooh, I've seen those. Those are fucking gnarly, man. I do not like those.
All right, then. Next segment.
Moving on.
Before we get distracted even more. What is something that has happened? I'm assuming we're going to talk about today's predicament.
You're actually wrong. That's why I talked about it before.
Oh, okay. So we're not talking about that.
But I'll touch on that a little bit. My computer's currently taking a gigantic shit on my face, and I'm not super happy about it. Also, I got a delivery that was supposed to be here that for some reason, my default address is to deliver things here. And for some reason, it's at my office, just sitting outside, which is frustrating. Past that, though, what's today? Tuesday? Yesterday, on my way to work, I dropped off my lovely lady at her house in the morning because she had stayed the night. I made it all the way about to, I think, Laverne on the freeway.
Okay.
And this was probably at 6:30-ish. I think I was in the Laverne area. I'm going to back up about 15 minutes. 15 minutes already on the freeway, I was like, I kind of have to take a shit. And then as I'm approaching Laverne, and I'm bumper to bumper, kind of, it's traffic, right?
Yeah.
Morning traffic heading out towards LA. So I start panicking a little bit, but collected panic where I'm like, all right, something's going to happen. I need to make a decision. So I type my home address into my maps. I'm like, how far away is home? How far am I to work? I'm like, 40 minutes to work. I'm like, I don't know. I type in home. Home's 10 minutes away. I'm turning the fuck around right now.
Mhm.
So I get off the freeway. I get back on the freeway opposite, and there's no traffic coming back home. I get home about 10 minutes, and thank God, because the minute I got inside and went and like sat on the toilet, game time. So I had about 10 minutes left in the tank there, which is not fucking cool for a 40-minute drive. I would have shit my pants on the way to work yesterday.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not fucking cool, man.
Nope.
I don't really know why that happened. There wasn't like anything outside of the ordinary for me. I have pretty regular movements. It was very odd, but I'm just very glad that I made it home and I didn't shit my pants in the car on the way to work and then sat in it for a half hour before I got to work.
That is an amazing tale.
Well, it's a survivals like tale or whatever, a success story. Because it's happened before where I'm like I can feel, you can feel
Yeah,
like
you
the
can
rumbling,
feel the movement.
but you're like, I can make it like an extra 20, 30 minutes. Like I will over body, right? Like, or mind over body. Like I can get through this. But yesterday in particular, I was like, this is not one of these times. I'm like, I need to go to the fucking bathroom. I made it.
Nice.
And everything was cool. I was only an hour later to work than I expected to be. But it turned out fine. Like everything was cool. Like I didn't have like a super busy day or anything. There wasn't like a bunch of shit waiting for me when I got there.
That's good.
It was perfect. Yeah. But a very stressful like 15 minutes.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
What about you, sir? What's the most traumatic thing or bad thing that's happened to you, or something that you learned, or something that you grew from?
Well, something I've for sure have gotten used to, or at least grown from. There's a little growth. I'm still delving into that habit, is my addictive personality, I guess, is what you would call it.
So I call back to the last...
It's a callback to the
collector's hobby.
So I'll get really engaged in certain things. So right now, Monster Hunter came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm delving into that and spending a lot of time with it since no work. During that time, I'm playing, and then once I'm done, a few hours have gone by. I would say 4 hours. And then I realized, oh, I wanted to do other stuff. So then that other stuff ends up later in the time frame, especially because I'm trying to keep up with other games as well. So I play mobile games as well. So dailies and stuff like that.
Right. That's your job right now.
Yeah, that's my job right now.
So it sounds like all you need to do is film what you're doing every day, or record what you're doing every day.
Oh, yeah. I can monetize my addiction, essentially.
Yeah. If that's what you're going to be doing with your day, find a way to record it or do tutorials or
anything like
something.
That.
Yeah.
So what goes through my head on when you bring that up is there's VTubers I watch. So I'm like, if I can... Oh, yes, I'll elaborate on what a VTuber is. All right, so what a VTuber is, it's a drawing that emulates the person. It's a character. It's a virtual tuber.
Gotcha. That's what the V stands for.
Yeah, that's what the V stands for. Virtual tuber. So it's a character, a drawn character, 2D or 3D, that will mimic the person that's in front of the camera. Oh, so you're not showing your face, but you're showing a character.
That's like iPhone users have stuff.
Yeah, like iPhone users have
you can basically use your own
avatar.
Yeah, or the emojis and stuff to talk.
Yeah,
I know there's other apps like that, like Face Rig.
Okay.
Was a popular one, I think, because it was free. You could be like a cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, Steve used to do that.
Oh, was he doing that?
Yeah,
I
he used
didn't
to do stuff
recall.
like that. I think on our Zoom calls, like he would.
I have seen people use it. I don't know if they use face rig, but I know there were people that turned their faces into like a vegetable or like a potato.
Yeah,
put their eyes and mouth
but
there.
it's that same sort of concept, right?
Yeah.
So you're creating a virtual avatar to be your face online,
Yeah,
so you can remain anonymous, or because whatever. There's a million reasons why you'd want to do that, right?
yeah.
One, it's fun. Two, there's lots of people who don't like the way they look or don't want to be on camera. I totally get it.
It's easier for me to like record stuff and show.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
It's something to show instead of just like gameplay and the voice.
right. The anonymity, I think, creates additional confidence.
Yeah.
I know from my own experience, I had my face painted once, and I went to a concert, and I felt very different that way. I get the cosplay sort of vibe where you're dressing up as something else, whether that's painted face or not, masks, whatever. Totally get it. Totally for it. I don't really participate because I don't want to spend any money on that, but I get it. Yeah. And this is that virtually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Getting back onto topic of my addictive proportions.
Yes.
Is a lot of that wastes time to where now on the ride here, I was actually thinking to make actually a couple lists of here's what I should be doing daily. And these are the stuff that if I finish, I will feel accomplished.
Right.
And then here are the things where if I have time, let's do these for a set amount of time. Like give myself a timer, essentially.
Yeah, you're basically making a schedule for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one thing where I feel like if I can accomplish that, I will feel a little bit more growth than what I have now been feeling, where there's some growth where I recognize that I have this and I try and stop it. But when I try and stop it, I stop it a little bit too late to where I've lost some time instead of, because I used to just keep going. I don't know if you've seen any memes or any posts like on Instagram or on social media.
Yeah.
Where they'll show someone playing a video game or interacting with something like reading a comic or reading manga or anything that just passes the time really quickly, right? Doom scrolling through Instagram stories or TikTok.
I mean, I'm aware of the phrase.
Yeah. They'll do that. And then next thing it transitions to is bird chirps, which indicates that it's morning.
Oh.
So they spent all night going through all that.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Younger me used to do that a lot.
Oh, I mean, I think most.
And by younger, I mean like in my 20s, mid 20s.
Right. I think that's a normal thing. It's kind of establishing independence and
normal would be a few times here and there, but I went through it a lot.
Yeah. I think you have the personality for it.
Yeah. So that would be one thing I've definitely grown from is.
Have you considered making yourself a tracker?
No.
Instead of doing a checklist?
Instead of doing a list, just do a track. Track my...
Like, make a spreadsheet for yourself. Because, so I do the same thing I think I've mentioned it before, for my workouts. And that keeps me on track. Because then there's dates assigned to things, there's actions assigned to the dates, and there's, sets and reps assigned to that. But I think in the same way, because I do think you and I think a lot alike, and I think we are a little bit analytical, so a spreadsheet makes sense to me. But I think if you make a spreadsheet that has all of these things that you want to accomplish, and I mean, they can be a checkbox or a timestamp, or they can be whatever you want. But if you put it in spreadsheet form and you do it the correct way, you'll be able to quantify data with it, which will show your personal growth in
Okay, I see.
in statistics.
Yeah.
You don't
Give that a no. I actually do want to give that a try. I will give that a try, and I'll let you know in a month. I'll do that, and then I'll also just do the list just to at least have something daily where I'm like, okay, check.
Well, and working on the spreadsheet in general, I think will help just kind of retain the skills as well. Like the last time I did index matching, I'm like, how did I do this every day? I'm like, what is? I was so confused. Like trying to get information from one spreadsheet to another one. Not offhand.
Yeah.
You'd have to look it up again. That's the shitty part. Because we were so ingrained in it, and it was just clockwork. And now I'm like, I learned stuff there, but I didn't retain any useful information.
The way I've always seen it is you only retain stuff that you do every day. Once you lose practice in it, you forget it. It happened with me learning HVAC. I learned HVAC.
Right.
I was good at it while I was learning it. And I never put it into practice because I never got a job in it. So I can go back and a lot of stuff will click if I look back at some of my notes. But
right.
I off the top of my head or anything like that, nothing.
Right. You have to kind of reactivate that stuff.
Yeah.
I had to relearn the whole thing, and I went through all of the same growing pains that I remember going through learning it in the first place. It was really annoying.
We might differ then. Because once I learn it, I lose it, but then when I go back to it, it clicks.
See, well,
like, I'll start remembering like right away.
Okay, I think here's the difference. I learned it to the point of this is exactly what I need, and then I made a template for it so I wouldn't have to go through that ever again. However, the template that I made for it was very specific to what we were doing before, so it doesn't translate over, because I have some of those documents still.
Okay.
But there's no equivalent translation to what I was trying to use it for.
Okay.
But I knew I could use index matching for that. And for the listener, if there are any listeners, index matching is a
function in Excel.
Yeah, it's relatively tedious and confusing based off of what you want it to do, and you have to use the dollar signs to lock certain cells in place.
Yeah.
Which I had to learn all over again. So I don't really work with a ton of spreadsheets anymore. So.
Neither do I.
Outside of the ones that I create, and the ones that I'm creating are usually just for organization.
Right. Well, let's move on. Yeah, we move on, right? Yeah, that was a long time. The next segment is about time travel. We have a time traveling machine here in the studio.
We do.
And
it's very dangerous.
We now get to discuss where we're going with it. When, where, what do you want to do, Sir Sam?
We keep putting these contingencies on it where we're not changing the present, we're going in the past. But I would really like to go into the past and change the present to get that fucking SSD here instead of at work.
What are you using it for? I mean, you can.
No, that seems like a cop-out too, because I already talked about that. Okay, this is going to get a little deep. So I recently discovered that I may or may not have borderline personality disorder.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was listening to a doctor or a psychiatrist talk about borderline personality disorder and self-hatred. And a lot, if not everything he was saying, I was like, that sounds like me. Like a lot of it sounds like me. So
right now it's self-diagnosed, if anything.
It is self-diagnosed, but I've already sent an email to my therapist. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Knowing that now, or, quote unquote, knowing it, because I don't like to self-diagnose because I think that's really dangerous. It's very easy to self-diagnose to a multitude of things, right? This in particular felt like really struck a chord with me, though, and I really would like to discuss it. Whether or not that is the actual diagnosis, I actually don't really give a shit about. I just want all this stuff treated. But now I feel like I have a roadmap to what I want treated specifically. So I'm going to bring all that stuff up with my therapist tomorrow. And she already has an email. She already knows what's coming tomorrow. What I would like to go back in time for, see, this affects now too. Fuck it. I would go back in time and discover this earlier. So I could have treated it earlier, which I think would make a lot of my social behavior and the way that I am in relationships, whether that's friendship or romantic relationships or like relationships with my family and things like that. I feel like I could make more sense of a lot of that stuff because I would have knowledge about it. And if I was treated for it previously, I think I would behave in a manner in which that I would prefer for myself as opposed to what I do now.
Okay, so go back in time, find a way to give yourself a deja vu.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We're constantly fucking up this.
I mean, we
this
have
topic.
the technology. We'll get in and.
But the whole question is supposed to be, what would you go back in time and change or do? Why, when, where, blah, 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 blah. Without affecting like our modern time stream here. Which means
the original question, yes, was
which means I would be going back in time and creating a different timeline and living on that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Time travel. It's just a time travel question. I think
I think all of our answers with that question in mind have always been, we'll change something, but yes, it'll change the future, but we're saying it won't.
Right. And I think I think there'll be some people where we're going to have to really put that hard line where it's like, it will not affect anything now. Like if you're happy with how everything is now, it's not going to affect any of that. If you're not, it will.
Yeah. I think more or less what we're trying to get across with this question is you can go back in time, change something, but it will not cause a butterfly effect where something else will go wrong or
right. Where now Amazon doesn't exist and I can't get 2 days free delivery. Okay.
All right.
So we'll need to figure out how to rephrase this question.
Well, I think that the original question is fine.
Yeah.
We just ended up moving on since we couldn't think of too many things. If you thought of something, great. But the other portion was a time machine, you can go observe time.
Right.
That's the other portion. So answer either or if you have an answer for
I guess. Yeah. Let's keep it open ended that way.
Yeah. Like if the guest doesn't have an answer for the first one, we'll like present them with the there's a time travel
go back
machine.
in time and change something, you fuck.
There's a time machine and you can observe time travel. Where would you go?
Right.
What would you observe?
You want to look or you want to touch stuff?
Yeah.
That's fair. Hey, how about you? Where, when, why? What are you going to do? Are you going to touch stuff or are you not going to touch stuff?
I didn't think about touching stuff, so I think I'm still going to observe. I'm a voyeur.
That's fine.
Ooh, here's would a future travel, or is it just time travel to the back?
I mean, we said go back in time, but it's really just a time travel question.
Okay. Well, I then want to move future-wise forward to, I don't even know how far. It's probably not going to be that far because what I want to observe is a year after my passing.
Why?
Just to see what's going on.
No, but why specifically? What's going on with what?
Just people. So essentially,
you want to read the epilogue of your story.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Or you want to see the epilogue of your story.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
I don't want to know how it ends.
You don't want to read the last page. You want to read the paragraph.
Or maybe not even a year. Maybe 5 years when people have already are not even discussing me and just keeping me in their memory and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So 5 years after, more or less, and just see how people that are alive that I would still know.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could just be my nieces and nephews when they're old enough.
You're like, what the fuck did you do?
just to see how things are going, or if by any chance I have kids of my own, see how they're doing
Okay,
further
so
down the line.
more so like you want to see stuff that you know you're not going to be able to see.
Right.
Okay, I can get behind that. That makes sense to me. Because yeah, if you're establishing that you're already dead, like what happens after that?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have, or theoretically, you're not going to have any knowledge of that.
Yeah, because I'm assuming once I'm dead, I'm
Blackout.
blacked out, no longer
The void.
a conscience.
I mean,
Who knows?
I mean,
There have been people with near-death experiences that just have similar experiences.
all I know is that the brain is flooded with DMT when you die, and that is a significant event.
But yeah, for sure, I will not be able to see people. Maybe.
Correct.
So
Well, yeah, probably not. I don't fucking know.
yeah, we don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
not a scientist. I'm not very religious. Like, I don't know.
yeah, that's what I would do. Like, all right, everything's gonna be okay. Or maybe 5 years after I die, the world ends.
I'm gonna retell that in different words next week.
Sure.
No, I won't do that. I'll try not to do like the cop outs here.
I like them though; they're fun.
They're easier.
And we're back to the next topic.
Yes.
Joel's Bowl.
See, the funny thing is, I don't know if you remember or not, but we had an opposition to that first.
No, I didn't.
I know
I
that.
was fine.
I know that because I listened to the episode like
No.
4 times.
I was completely okay with it. I just brought it up for confrontation
You're
sake.
like, is that really what we're gonna call it? I know that because I've heard that piece of audio like
My tones are never what I feel. The tone may have sounded bad, but I just wanted to make sure you were okay with us calling it.
it's low on the list of priority, but I was gonna put a label on it.
Okay.
Make it official.
All right. Picked out the topic. Hopefully, I'm assuming that caught the sound perfectly. I would hope.
Or it's horrifying.
No. We always keep that sound in. It's a good ASMR tactic.
Maybe not with these mics, is what I'm saying. It might sound really bad.
All right. Topic is social media.
Okay, no, actually, we can make this just a discussion because I do see pros and cons to it.
Mhm.
Let's go with pros and cons of social media
Sure.
in general.
You want to do one pro each and then one con each?
Sure.
Or
I'm going to start with the bad, and then we can end with the good. How about that? So I'll do
Sure.
bad, you do bad, I'll do good. In terms of the cons of social media, I'm just going to speak from my personal experience. The more time I spend on it, the more miserable I am.
Mm.
And that seems very cut and dry. Because the more time I spend on social media, the more time I see what everybody else is doing. And then you're left with this, but I'm just looking at what everybody else is doing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here looking at everybody else. I'm not doing anything.
okay.
And then I start to feel really bad about myself because I'm not doing anything. And I'm just looking at what other people are doing. And I've been through a lot of iterations where I had 0 social media on my phone. Unfortunately, now I kind of need to have it a little bit, but we'll get into that with the pros. Well, I know it's bad for my mental health, which is why I try to stay off of it as much as possible. And I would say that is a big con to social media. I also would imagine I'm not alone in that.
You are not, but I am not one of those.
That's
That's
fine.
with you.
Yeah. No, well,
At least in that sense.
I know for a
Yeah.
fact that I'm not alone in that because I've heard a lot of other people talk about very similar experiences.
Mhm.
But I am happy to hear that that's not you because it's not great.
No, yeah.
What about you? What's a con for social media?
Because there's a lot of anonymity to it,
Mm-hmm.
many people feel free to be negative on there. And some of it I see okay, because I am part of what trolling is, where trolling would be a sense of knowing you're saying something that's not correct in order to bait a negative reply or something to aggravate someone into replying to you.
You're fucking with people online on purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
And some of those, like, I'll see it and I'll see it right away. Like, oh, this guy's just talking shit and he knows he's wrong. He just wants people to be mad at him.
Right.
I'm like, I'm okay with that. But then there are people that really, especially the ones that get baited in, they start going in and really bringing in a lot of negativity. The ones I'm talking about that will take the bait are not the ones that are taking the bait and being angry at him. They're the ones taking that bait and running along with it as truth. And where it's now you see the people that agree with that, and it's like, you shouldn't be agreeing with that.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of that going on in politics and entertainment right now.
Yeah.
Like the whole, you hear about the Kanye thing. I won't call him by whatever name he's claiming he should be called by. He's always been Kanye West.
That's his name, right? Or is that not his name?
I think he wants people to call him E now.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But his name's Kanye or whatever.
Yeah.
But you saw his whole thing at the Grammys or there's some sort of award show that recently came up. His girlfriend showed up, or his wife, I don't know who she was basically like naked, and they got kicked out. And then he was advertising about stuff on his clothing on his website, and there's a swastika t-shirt.
Yeah. I don't. So when I go on social media, I don't see that stuff.
No, so I know about that because I have a finger on the pulse a little bit.
Yeah.
So I hear about that stuff. But I feel like he fits that category. Everyone clamors to his defense, saying that he has like a mental illness or whatever.
Mm.
But I'm like, if he does or doesn't, I'm like, this really just seems like he's fucking with everybody. And you guys are getting mad about it, and you're reporting on it, and it's creating all this buzz. I'm like, this is in life trolling, isn't it? Isn't that what it feels like? Like the whole...
It feels like it, but I think he's, at least from what I've seen, because I've seen very little, I feel like he's actually meaning most of what he says instead of trying to troll.
Okay, so I'm not negating that. I think he's a piece of shit. I think Elon Musk is also a piece of shit, but I think they both do the same kind of thing where they both will go out of their way to create controversy over something, to rally people behind them and also make other people angry, which feels very troll behavior to me. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Oh, okay.
In terms of real life examples of people doing that out in public as opposed to on the internet or in social media. However, the stuff that happens in real life now gets reported on social media and stuff. So the whole Elon Musk Nazi salute thing that happened.
Yeah.
Things like that where you're kind of like, did you mean to do that? Did you mean to make it look like that on purpose? And then it's like...
See, with that one, I don't know the guy.
I don't either.
But the only thing I do know is now I might have to check it or fact check it. But doesn't he have Asperger's?
Again, I don't feel like that's an excuse.
No. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that is the reason.
Okay.
I'm not excusing.
But here's the problem.
I'm just saying that's probably the reason why that happened.
But again, somebody with Asperger's who does something that looks like a Nazi salute should not be in charge of things then. Like if we're not able to determine whether what he's doing is part of his mental condition or his personality, maybe we shouldn't let him be in charge of stuff. Maybe we shouldn't let him be on TV because there's too much scrutiny. Like it can't be that drastic where it's, oh, well, he has Asperger's. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't understand what he's doing. I'm like, well, I kind of feel like he does because he's running he's one of like the richest people in the world, right?
Oh, no. Well, I'm not saying that you should excuse it. I'm just saying that is probably the reason.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree with you that it's all of the behavior is derived from somewhere, right?
And that he can't control it or anything. I'm saying that was probably like a big sensation and he just went along with it.
Sure.
Kind of thing. He got excited.
Sure. But I would like to think, because I don't feel mentally stable 60% of the time, 70% of the time, let's say. I think if I was on television, I would try really hard to make sure that my actions were not perceived in any way other than like, thank you.
Yeah.
Even if I did a bow, which I would never do unless specifically prompted to, where somebody was standing next to me and saying, you need to bow to this person. That is a sign of respect. I feel like my nervous nature would be, thank you. I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, I'd be looking for lifelines as opposed to, oh no, like, I think that's the difference. Is there's a tremendous amount of confidence behind both of those people that we're talking about, right? Yeah. So their actions get amplified because they're being overly confident. And I think if they weren't as confident, people would probably give them more leeway with stuff. Because you come out and be an asshole to everybody in public, and then you do something like that, of course people are going to run you like underground, like, or try, right?
Yeah.
They're like, that's not okay. This person's a monster. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I can also see the stuff that Kanye did as like satire. Because that makes sense in my head. I don't know if that's what he was trying to do, but I could see that as satire. I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's in good taste. But I could see somebody else doing that satire, where they're like, oh, I'm not going to sell anything else anymore except for shirts with swastikas on it. I guess that's funny if it's animated. If that was on Family Guy or South Park, wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, because it's not happening.
Right. But that's the difference between making a joke and
doing it.
And doing it in real life and trying and getting sales. I imagine people bought those.
Oh, definitely.
And I imagine they were overpriced. You can print your own swastika t-shirts wherever you want, just not through.
Well, anywhere that would actually print those.
Well,
because I'm assuming some companies would be like, see that image and be like, nope.
Yeah. Theoretically, you can print them wherever you want, in the sense where if you know somebody with a printing press, which, you know, I think half of the fucking homes in the U.S. have some sort of, maybe not half, but, you know, like.
There's a good amount that'll probably have like a hobby printer or whatever.
Everyone has always wanted to make their own t-shirts, which is why there's so many companies who do it. Mm-hmm. You just don't make any money from clothing. Like, you can't make any money. That's why all the custom clothing and stuff is like $60 for a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my con.
Yeah.
What's your pro?
So the pro is I do think that, like, if we rewind back 20 years, and let's say you and I were trying to start a podcast or radio show back then, we would have a very difficult time. One, we would be like 10 years old. Two, there's not mediums like there is now. We can't post something on Instagram and say, hey, we're doing a podcast now.
Listen in.
Right. We would have to go door to door and start telling people, hey, tune into this radio station at this time.
Yeah.
It's much more difficult, one, to get the word out, and two, to just release things in general. So I do think that there is a benefit to social media in that sense. I don't feel like it's utilized very well, but I do think that that is the pro. The pro is to be able to get out a message across thousands to upwards to billions of people all at once.
Yeah.
Just hopefully those are good messages. Hopefully those are positive messages and not garbage. But we both know that it is.
We're going to give as much garbage as we can.
Yeah. How about your pro?
My pro for social media would be there's a multitude of ways to enjoy social media for entertainment purposes, right? You got your cute videos with cats, babies, puppies, doing
Interesting list there.
those are very well. That's the cute section.
No, in terms of cuteness.
Oh.
So, cats are more cute than babies, and babies are more cute than puppies.
Sure, that is my top 3. In that order, I am a cat person. The other part is if you want to kind of indulge in the car culture or any culture that like
literally any culture. Yeah.
You have at your hands there where the car, gaming, anything like that, sports. You have your easier access to behind the scenes stuff on there. There's just a lot of information now and a lot of fake stuff that happens on there as well.
See,
that can be put into cons, but you have a lot of the other good stuff that's just like you have your hand pickings and whatever it is you like. And it's a lot more easier to access than flipping through channels, hoping you find something on that's enjoyable. That would be my pro.
Social media
is checked off.
You ain't got shit on us.
Nope.
Well, maybe. Probably not.
I don't know. The only thing I posted are pictures of where I've been.
That's good. Well, depending on when you post it. People just like, oh.
Don't want to follow me.
I follow you. Most days. You should get out more. I don't like hanging out outside your house.
All right, now it's time to get bold, senor.
Okay.
We'll be asking questions. I believe I asked first, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, sir. Going on last week's episode, what conspiracy theory do you think is most likely to be true?
I'm resisting the urge to give a shitty answer. I'm trying to think about it. It's a real question. Because I'd love to give you the joke answer and be like, flat earth, for sure. That's definitely not my answer, though. I don't know if it still counts as a conspiracy theory or not, because the government has declassified stuff about extraterrestrial life, but I'd say that.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people still view that as a conspiracy theory, like aliens or other life forms or life outside of Earth. I would say that is...
or what they released is fake or
right.
Or
I would say that. That's probably the most likely.
Okay.
So, Joel, tell me about the best version of yourself you could believe you could... Wait.
Huh?
What? Sorry, it's because I said your name first. Tell me about the best version of yourself you believe you could be. What does that look like? Who are you?
The best version of myself would be someone...
It's worded a little weird to me.
Yeah, I understood it.
Yeah.
The best version that I can picture myself being would be...
like a quadrillionaire with just like a bunch of chicks just
Yeah, just
swimming all over you.
The epitome of machismo. No,
That's okay. I made a joke answer with the flat Earth thing, so
that would be the joke answer, of course. That's not true. That's not what I'm thinking of at the moment.
Well, it's not what you were thinking of, but now you might be thinking about it.
All right. The best version I would see myself being would be more or less someone who is better time management. While I joke about this, that I have is having a good sense of where the priorities lie. Because then what I mean by that is I'll joke at times when I'm consumed with the game, and I'm trying to get my friends to play it with me. I'm like, have your priorities straight and get in here with me.
Get your priorities straight and align with mine in this moment.
At least those would be some characteristics that I would for sure have with said idolized version of myself. The other portion would probably be a little bit more health focused. I'm getting there slowly with now riding bike.
Oh yeah, you're like 2 hours a week at least?
Pretty much. Yeah, I think that would be it. Everything else I'm fine with. Just those 3 things: clean up and be elevated to the point where it's like, this guy is good.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
All right, sir. What is one thing you would do if there were no repercussions?
Repercussions, whatever. Potato, tomato. See, I feel like I have so much inner guilt that I don't think that matters. The repercussions are within me, I think, anyway. Is that it? Just what would I do?
What would you do if you could get away with it?
Oh, I would just lie to everybody and tell them that I'm a very successful artist or musician, and like if no one's going to check your work or anything.
It's like, no, you have no risk by backing me up with production or anything.
Yeah, no, I'm the greatest musician in the world.
Yeah, you're going to profit off of what I do.
Yeah, no, I'm the best there is, so don't bother looking anywhere else. I will take care of it.
That's how most people get in, right?
Is it? Is that what I'm doing wrong? Is being modest my crutch? I'm trying hard not to, even because the only things I posted on my Instagram are releases and the year-end stats on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I post those, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm like, look how many people listen to my music. But I'm proud of that because I came from nowhere. I have zero relations to anybody in any industry, entertainment-wise. And I'm like, I got here out of nowhere. This is from the ground up. Like, this has nothing to do with anybody else. So I am proud of that. But it does still make, when I'm posting it, I still feel like a piece of shit. And I'm like, you shouldn't, don't fucking brag about, you don't need to tell everybody. But I did anyway, and 10 people saw it, so that's fine. There's more people who listen to my music than there are who follow and interact with me on social media. I wish the people who listen to my music would follow me on social media, but that's fine. They don't have to. Joel, what is your favorite quote or saying?
I think you know.
I think I do.
It is. Now I forgot how it goes, but paraphrasing, don't put Twinkies on your pizza.
That is exactly what I thought you were going to say. Because I've heard it before. In many, many contexts, I have heard that phrase before, yes. Although, if I'm being truly honest, I, for some reason, was thinking pineapple instead of Twinkies.
Oh,
But that makes more sense because
yeah.
I was reared up a little bit, ready to fight you about the pineapple on pizza. But I remember, it's Twinkies.
It's Twinkies.
Yeah.
Good old, I believe the movie's Heavyweights.
Oh, yeah. See, and I know you told me that before, but I still don't know what that movie is, and I've never seen it.
It's a great movie.
Heavyweights, you said?
Yeah, Heavyweights. Disney movie, actually, with Ben Stiller.
Okay. I think I can see the title card in my head. Okay. I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
It's on my watch list right now.
Well, I believe that ends at least the portions.
That's it.
Alright, Sam, what do you think of that quote?
I mean, that was a great episode, Joel. We don't have to get into the quote yet, but that was a wonderful episode recorded on these fantastic lavalier mics.
Yeah, well, hopefully they sound good. From what I sounded when we played back, it sounded okay.
They're passable.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with it. You know, I was thinking about this quote a lot because you mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, not at the end of the episode. So I had a good hour to think about it. I'm going to be honest. This is something that I struggle with a little bit. I do definitely agree with the practice. And it's probably something that I would tell anybody else or paraphrase for anybody else. But I do think that it's difficult. I think it's difficult being a realistically an individual and kind of swimming upstream or going against the herd kind of stuff like that, only because you don't necessarily always have some sort of guiding light, or you don't always have something to look for or some sort of template to go by. You're just kind of making things up as you go along.
Right. Especially if you're doing something new.
Right. Which is how I feel often. And it's not great. Because I always want to look to someone else and say, oh, they did this. I can do it too. And here's the path. And I find that the more and more I get involved in my passions and interests, I find less and less people to follow, which means I have been forced to kind of pave my own path. So I don't know, Mr. Curry. I guess I will live my own story and be myself. And I will just focus on being the best version of myself. That's what that means to me. It's a wake-up call, and I don't like it. I don't appreciate it.
Oh.
Don't tell me things I already know. I'm working on it. What?
At least you're working on it.
What are you talking about? You're working on it too. You're here, right? You're here.
I'm working it with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's what I think. You're right. All that stuff that you just said, I would piggyback off of it, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to restrain myself from acting a fool and give my own answer. So what I see in this quote is more or less what I would love to tell everyone if they would ask me for advice. But I don't get too many people. The most important thing is, if someone would ask me for said advice, would be, just, you can look at people as a guide, but never follow. Just observe, as I've always done. I just observe, and if they do something wrong or if they do something right, take a note of it. Do I want to do that? Yes, no? All right, let's go towards my path. Just keep them in your peripheral views and just keep moving forward. I think that's one of the best ways to live your life, is not to compare it to anyone else's. You're going along, you're making up your own decisions, and whether they're right or wrong, that's for you to find out. Learn how to win, learn how to lose. You definitely don't want to be a person where if you win, you're a total douchebag about it. Or if you lose, you start whining and crying.
Right.
It's okay to cry if you lose, because if you're crying because you put in the effort and you still lost, sure. But if you're crying and whining about it and trying to figure out who to blame other than maybe yourself or like
that's it,
something out of your control,
it's the only, I feel like really the only, in a mature mindset, the only person you can blame is yourself for anything that's happening.
Yeah.
Because you can look to external things, but you have no control over that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's maybe you did everything right and you still lost, but that's okay. That just means you have something to improve upon yourself. You did everything you could at that moment. What are some things you can work on yourself to elevate yourself? And in all cases, it can apply to sports. It can apply to just day-to-day stuff, like maybe driving on the freeway. You missed your exit. Don't cut everyone off. Take that L. Take your loss. Get off on the next exit and double back.
Preach, Joel. Preach.
But yeah, that's the takeaway that I get from that quote.
I think that only applies to people outside of LA, though. If you're outside of LA, you can go on the next exit. If you're in LA, no, you can't do it.
Of course you can.
Well, apparently you can't, because that's what everybody does. I'm gonna just jump on a little bit about what you said and paraphrase it in a way that I have been told before, in hopes that it will be helpful to you or anybody else listening. That you cannot compare yourself to anybody else. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself in the past.
Preach.
So, have you made progress since yourself 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever the number is? Have you been making progress from your own self and your own standards, not anybody else's, because everybody else's standards are like those are for them.
Well said.
I didn't say them.
No, you did say it.
Well,
we have it on recording.
I'm literally regurgitating something that I hear all the time from somebody else. I'm not going to name drop because I don't think I need to.
I said it.
I'll name drop later when we have a following and people.
I'll take the credit. I said it to him one time.
Joel says it to me every night before we go to bed. He kisses me on the forehead and he tells me, hey.
The show's over. Good night.
Well,
that ends the episode.
This is why we need a permanent outro
that we can just tack on to everything. But yeah.
Bye.
Good night.